I just love days like this. Just love the opportunity to talk to you guys on days like this. Not only because we are kings of the hockey world in the United States of America. By the way, how awesome was that? Of course, we're going to talk about that. But you know when they said this is the golden age coming? Many people had said that. The great Scott Adams, rest his soul, had said that. Trump has actually said that, but some other people had said that we're entering into this age. Everything's becoming clearer, and it's such good news. And yes, I'm on a high from that U.S. hockey team win. Sure, men and women, but it's more than that, though. Even though there's a lot of violence happening in the world, bad things are happening. Things are becoming clearer. Like everything you had said and believed is becoming proven and true. Case in point, what's happening in Mexico today. How'd you like to be those poor people? But it makes the point that all of us with an ounce of common sense had said, we need a strong border. Yeah, look at what's going on in the world now, and that'll prove that. Anyway, we'll get to all that stuff. Thanks for being here. I hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for finding me on the Wicked Radio live stream. Still fighting through the X algorithm, but that's okay. It lives on there as a replay, also on Facebook and YouTube and the audio podcast. Thanks for being here. Live is Monday through Friday, as you know. 8 a.m. Eastern time, but then on the replay and the audio podcast. Let's get to USA hockey, baby. Now, NBC is doing this thing. They're being real dicks about this, and they're copywriting all of their stuff, and everybody's going through it. They won't let anybody rebroadcast or repost all of their content, whatever. They can't stop us. Let's go to the USA locker room celebration, celebrating with none other than Toby Keith's, courtesy of the Red, White, and I mean, just like how much would Toby Keith love that? By the way, rest his soul too. Man, that's just fantastic. And I think that the hockey players are still partying into the night over in Italy. There was a point in time. I don't know if you saw this video. So they're partying through the streets of Milan. You know, pretty typical scene. Whatever. They're all hammered and deservedly so. At one point in time, Micah Ruzioni, remember that hero from the 1980 team, the last time they won gold? They found him. They put him on their shoulders. They hoisted him up, Micah Ruzioni, and they carried him through the streets of Milan in celebration. It was just perfect, awesome in every possible way. Obviously, if you didn't see the game or see the highlights, overtime win. Jack Hughes, American hero, gets the win in overtime versus Canada. Canada is devastated. Obviously, it's their sport. But you knew, first period, I'm texting back and forth. It was our same football group chat with my nephews. And I said to them, you know this is going to overtime. It just has to. It's just like destined to go to overtime. Sure enough, it did, but this kid got the winner. And what makes this even better, as if that wasn't enough, Jack Hughes could not have been more patriotic, could not have been more grateful and appreciative of his teammates. His country went out of his way to say that. And in fact, I'll have the quote here for you in just a second. But he also said this in the interview. You might have seen the iconic picture of him draped in the U.S. flag, got a tooth knocked out in the game before he got the overtime winner. And a reporter asked him about this after the game.
And we're the gold medalists, so I'm so happy that USA Hockey's on top.
You not only have that as a reminder, you got that as a reminder too. Did that just show about this game?
I'm lucky I'm from the best country in the world, and we got great dentists there too, so I'm lucky I'm American, and they're going to fix me right up.
Standing there listening.
Jack Hughes, iconic hero for all time. What was his quote? What was the most quoted piece of what he said after the game? I love the USA. I'm so proud to be American, with the iconic photo of him draped in the flag and the bloody tooth, the bloody mouth. Just an amazing thing. But you heard that, and I said this about the women's team as well last week. You heard it to a person on the team. Not only the players, staff, organization, USA Hockey in general, so appreciative, so patriotic, so amazingly perfect. Just the perfect sporting event team to represent our country. Both of them. Women's hockey and men's hockey. And there were a lot of great U.S. athletes in the Olympics. What was it? Most gold medals we've ever had? And this is why, when people try to tell you, sports, it's just entertainment. Sometimes. When you have something like this is why it's so important to have athletes that respect and love and want to represent their country in the right way. That goes for all countries. You should all be, Italy should be Italy first. France should be France first. But we're America first. And these athletes absolutely Loved it. Now, there's something else special that happened after in that same locker room celebration. They get a certain call, and I hope you can hear it here because it was truly amazing. They get a call from none other than the President of the United States. Pretty typical thing, although, of course, there's criticism of that, of course. From the lefties that absolutely hate our country, and they hate joy. I'm convinced now that the liberals in our country just hate joy. They hate everything. They hate themselves. They hate winning. They hate it. But anyway, this was an amazing.
Watch 1 minute. 1 minute. And by the way, your goalie played not bad.
Howie, say hi. Howie, say hi to him.
How you doing, Don?
I have seen hockey goalies have slightly worse games than this. Unbelievable, and you were all unbelievable. And the team is pretty good you played. I don't know if it's going to begin anytime soon, right? And, I tell you what, I just told my people 2 minutes ago, I didn't know they'd be calling. I said, we're giving the State of the Union speech on Tuesday night. I could send a military plane or something, but if you would like to, it's the coolest night, it's the biggest.
We're in.
Speech.
What a great idea. I hope you heard there. I know it was low because it was President Trump on somebody's cell phone. And somebody goes, "Hey, how you doing, Don?" It's great. But what you heard him say there was, and what a great idea that is. So we know the news story that's popped up, all these Democrats, maybe all of them, they're all going to, except Fetterman, they're all going to protest the State of the Union. They're just not going to show up, right? Well, we're going to have a lot of empty seats. Wouldn't it be nice to fill that with our U.S. Olympians that won gold and took that home? That actually love this country. And you heard him say right there, I don't know which player said it, but as soon as he mentioned that, they said, "Oh, we're in. Oh, we're going to go. Absolutely, we're in." What a great idea that would be, right? Go ahead. Go ahead, you idiot Democrats, you little children, you overgrown theater kids. Go ahead and protest the State of the Union because we'll fill it with real Americans, you absolute dopes. Here was another thing that happened, and this was great. So FBI Director Kash Patel was over there in the locker room. A controversial. Oh, they're trying to create a controversy over this. Kash Patel, God forbid, who is a hockey fan, by the way, but he's also the FBI director over there making sure that all of our athletes are kept safe, which is nothing new, by the way. They put the FBI onto this because we have an international host hosting our Olympians and our athletes over there. But he was, God forbid, Kash Patel was celebrating. Oh, how dare he! With the U.S. Olympians. Here's the video. I'm sure you saw this. And I'm going to give you a media reaction that will blow your mind. And this is why I say everything's becoming clearer these days. The mainstream far-left media hates everything. And they really hate it. Kash Patel, awesome scene, celebrating with his U.S. athletes. And again, like I said, this is nothing new for the FBI director to be over there in Italy, in any foreign country, protecting our athletes. I want to read this to you. And this is truly amazing. And this will summarize everything you ever thought about a certain tendency, a certain mindset of you-know-who over there on that side. Something called Carol Leonnig wrote this, and you should see the comments. Yes. By the way, she's responding to the video we just played there and the sound you just heard of Kash Patel celebrating in the locker room. Yes, multiple sources have sent me and MS Now this video appearing to show FBI Director Kash Patel guzzling from a beer and partying in locker room with the U.S. men's hockey team. God forbid. Oh, the clutching of the pearls. Oh, his office insisted this was strictly a business trip. We at MS Now News will share what we learn. You absolute, total, miserable, horrible, absolute loser cretins. That's what they are. This was by the way, MS Now is the new name for MSNBC. Same characters, same absolute lunatics that hate our country. I'm convinced now they hate winning. They hate joy. They hate themselves. They hate our country. They hate our mindset. They hate Western culture. They just hate everything. He assured us it was a business trip. Well, it is. But here's the thing, you absolute dopes at MS Now. A true business person that's a professional can keep your U.S. athlete safe while he's doing his job and actually celebrate with them in the locker room. Did you ever think about that? Now, the comments in that, it's never safe to go into the comment section of anything, but you will enjoy the comments to Carol Lenig from MS Now with that ridiculously off-base and clueless take. You want to get a better one? This is amazing. This is posted after the U.S. men's hockey team win. So that's the last event of the Olympics. This is after we just wrapped up the Winter Olympics, which overall was really pretty good in Milan. Italy did a great job with that. But we came out of this as Americans with the most gold medals we've ever had, ever. Totally successful, right? Seemed to be completely safe. Get our athletes home. Everything will be great. Thanks in large part to Kash Patel, doing a great job over there. Nope, that's not the take. Nope. All this patriotism, all this unity, all this beauty of sports that can bring us together as a country, right? That we can all root for, no matter what you do. We can put politics aside. Let's forget about that stuff. Let's root for our American athletes. Nope, that's not what they want. That's not what the lefty lunatics want. Because here's the Huffington Post. I'm surprised, too, they're still in business, but maybe not for long. Actual headline. Actual post after the win. Ready? I'll read it word for word. If waving the American flag or chanting USA turns you off right now, you're not alone. I'm just going to let that lie there. You think about that. You think about what kind of a creature would write that. What kind of a soulless, joyless, miserable, self-hating, America-hating creature would write that in a headline and post it. Think of the steps that have to go through this, right? You have to have the person writing it think it. They have to write it out before they have a chance to self-edit. Then it has to go to an editor of some sort, right? Somebody has to clear that and say, "Man, that's okay. Yeah, let's run with that." We just had one of the biggest national celebrations, unity together in our country, and we could use a lot more of those these days. We just had one of them. Fresh off that, the Huffington Post writes that if waving flags and chanting USA turns you off right now, you're not alone. This is why you got to look at those kind of people. And I used to just pity them, and I don't even more. You have to mock them. You got to make fun of them. So that's why. And this post is still up, by the way. I just checked. Go to the Huffington Post X account where that was written. And do yourself a favor, just for some laughs. It won't be depressing. Go into the comment section and read the comments that are in there. So in social media world, they call it a ratio, where if you get a lot of, if the comments far outweigh the likes, they're blasting you, basically, is what they're saying. I'm not talking about hundreds. I'm not talking about thousands. I'm talking about tens of thousands of comments, including mine, maybe yours too, under that post by the Huffington Post on X, absolutely destroying them. And it will make you feel so good about what the American mindset is really all about. Most of those, I won't even read them for you because most of them are go F yourself, basically is what they're saying. And it's fantastic. That's how we push back against that nonsense. And I'm sure there's a segment of the population, the miserable, self-hating few who actually enjoy that. I'm sure. But most of us enjoyed the win, and they react to a post like that from the Huffington Post and just say, go be miserable in a corner, you absolute cretins. It was great. Don't ever let the miserable take your joy away like that. And here's a perfect example of it. Because what we witnessed with this, and this is the true beauty of sports, no matter what you like to follow, but especially with Olympics and a team event like this. This was incredible. Absolutely, amazingly incredible. And we haven't had a lot of moments like that with national unity. This was. Don't let the Huffington Post or that creature from MS Now or whatever the hell they call it these days take your joy away. This was fantastic. And you could still enjoy it. And I hope they do show up at the State of the Union tomorrow night. I hope so. That would be fantastic. That would be great. All right, let's get to some other news. This is way more serious. But again, it doesn't sound like it at first, but this is actually good news because they thwarted the threat at Mar-A-Lago yesterday. All this was going on while we were watching hockey and celebrating the U.S. So some lunatic, who I find out this morning was 21 years old, had a gas can and a shotgun and somehow made it in the inner grounds somewhere, not too close, but close enough, of Mar-A-Lago. Now, that threat has been neutralized. You probably heard that already because they upgraded security, good news, and detection system, really good news, around Mar-A-Lago to protect the president, family, and staff. And they took this creature out. What are we going to find out about this 21-year-old that dared to do this? I have my guesses, but let's wait to see what we find out for sure. So far, this is what we know about what that person is. Let's go to Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw just yesterday talking about it. A little long, but he gets to a pretty good summary of exactly what happened.
My name's Rick Bradshaw. I'm the sheriff of Palm Beach County. I have with me from the FBI Special Agent in Charge Brett Skiles, Special Agent in Charge Rafael Barrios from the Secret Service. Also, I have Resident Agent in Charge David Clancy. At 1:30 this morning, the security detail detected that a individual had made his way into the inner perimeter of Mar-A-Lago. A deputy and 2 Secret Service agents on the detail went to that area to investigate. They confronted a white male that was carrying a gas can and a shotgun. He was ordered to drop those 2 pieces of equipment that he had with him, at which time he put down the gas can, raised the shotgun to a shooting position. At that point in time, the deputy and the 2 Secret Service agents fired their weapons and neutralized the threat.
Threat neutralized. Whatever that maniac turns out to be is gone, no longer on this earth. And like I said, apparently, and I heard Dan Bongino talking about this on an interview. He said the security detection system around Mar-A-Lago has been improved. Good news there. And an excellent response from not only the Secret Service, but also Palm Beach County Sheriff Department and their officers, their deputies there. Fantastic job there. Now, the darkness of this entire thing is 21-year-old something or other. What do you want to guess that this mentally ill, obviously, person was severely affected by the same kind of media outlets we just talked about, all the other stuff online, and all these so-called lefty influencers saying that President Trump is a fascist. Another one. This is why it matters. This is why it matters that we need to stop these people from calling for this violence. Because they have. Let's be honest about it. They've called for violence. And this doesn't affect anybody that has common sense, obviously. But it affects the mentally ill, which whatever this 21-year-old was, had something going on inside. What are we going to find out? I don't know. But what we know right now is, good, threat neutralized. Good to hear. Sad that it even happens, but they did their job. All right, let's get to one other piece of news. I usually try to end things with a lighthearted news story, but it's definitely not what's going on in Mexico. But here's another. Remember I said in the introduction there that everything's becoming clear. It's like the smoke is rising. Ironically, not in Mexico, but the smoke is rising, and you're starting to see everything for what it is. Everything that you've always believed clearly about a secure border and how important that is was just proven yesterday by what broke out in the Puerto Vallarta area of Mexico. So apparently, as the story goes, the Mexican government killed the cartel leader of the biggest cartel that exists in Mexico these days. And another thing that got proven yesterday, beyond a shadow of a doubt, was that the cartels run that country. Also, background of the story was President Trump had told President Sheinbaum, the Mexican president, that she needs to gain control of the cartels or accept our help in this, or it's going to be all hell breaking loose. Well, we have now all hell breaking loose. So here's what you have. A shelter-in-place order around hotels and, resort areas, telling people to leave if you can. They've attacked and torn up roads leading in and out of the area. They've blown up sections of airports. This is the cartel doing all this. They've attacked citizens in the streets. Mass violence. Let's get a little listen and a little look at what's going on in that area of Mexico today. And you tell me we don't need a secure border. Oh, okay. By the way, the second clip in there that was put in the compilation was the airport at Puerto Vallarta, which is absolute madness because explosions outside. I hope we can get our people out of there. And by the way, this was another thing. I don't mean to make light of this because it's a terrible situation. Who had a worse day yesterday than Canadians vacationing in Puerto Vallarta. More on that in a second. Well, you're watching your team lose, and this is like lifeblood for them, to the U.S., and then immediately after the game, the entire country around you is exploding, and you can't go anywhere and you're stuck. That's a bad day, my friends. That's a very, very bad day. But why were there so... there are Americans there. We need to get them out safe. We're very concerned for them. We're concerned for everybody down there. But the Canadians especially... Why am I bringing up Canadians with Puerto Vallarta and Mexico and the cartels and all this stuff? Do you remember the Canadian government, once Trump was reelected for this, once he became 47 and not 45, do you remember clearly, this is factual, this happened, Canadian government encouraging their citizens to vacation in that area specifically of Mexico instead of going to the United States? Well, look what you've done now, you absolute idiots. Look at you. Same people, by the way, that said, oh, it's racist to want to build a wall and secure the border. There's no problem. We were told for 4 straight years under the Biden administration that there's not a border crisis. Oh, okay. Well, things became clear again. The cartel has been, maybe it'll change in the coming weeks or days, has been running Mexico. That's clear if they have that much power. And it's clear to anybody that has been saying and stomping up and down for years now, we need a secure border. We need border security. There's your proof. And if anybody in your life is telling you that we don't, show them what's going on today. Just look back. Save some videos and show that for them. Absolute insanity. Let's pray for those people, though, and hopefully they get out there. But anyway, it's only Monday. Don't let these miserable losers like the people from the Huffington Post take away your joy at unity, at being proud to be American and waving the flag in USA, yes, over a sporting event. Absolutely. Well, it freaking matters. Don't let them tell you it doesn't. Enough said. I'm still on a high over that. That was fantastic. All right. And by the way, we'll keep an eye on that, too. We'll see if the U.S. hockey team accepts the invite and shows up at the State of the Union tomorrow night. We got a lot to talk about for that, for prepping for that tomorrow morning. We'll be talking about that as well. More on that coming up. It's only Monday, but make it a wicked awesome one. Thanks for finding me on the live stream. Replay on X and YouTube and on Facebook, and the audio podcast, too, is about to get posted wherever you like to get those. Make it a wicked awesome Monday. USA. Talk to you tomorrow.